Today, it's just me and this van, until a rival sneaks in trying to sabotage my work. Deals? Forget it. Everyone wants top dollar, even for junk. And the driving? Yeah, it gets dangerous. Close calls? Just another day on the job. When the store's about to close, rules don't matter. From chaos on the streets to leveling up the shop, welcome back to Car Dealer Simulator. The sun wasn't even clear of the horizon when I found myself staring at the CargoWise P4. I'd finished the mechanical repairs the night before, tightening bolts and swapping fuses. But the body? Oh man, that body was gonna take time. It looked like a scrapyard survivor. Rust bloomed across the frame. The panels were a patchwork of freshly grinded metal that, when activated with the X-ray feature, shows all the spots left to finish. Those yellow spots were screaming at me like some kind of cruel joke. Every time I looked at it, my stomach knotted. I muttered under my breath, "Why on earth do I keep buying treated cars? They're supposed to save time and are supposed to be easy money." But lately, it's been the so-called poor cars that treat me better. Their bodies might look rough, but at least I know where I stand. Treated cars, they hide their sins and you pay for them later. Still, there it is, sitting in my bay like a challenge. And I wasn't about to let it win. I fired up the orbiter. The tool screamed to life, spitting dust everywhere, creating a mess that only in real life I would have to clean up. But not in this game. Having completed the grinding of the rust, the adding of the putty, and the sanding of the orbiter, my arms burned, my back ached, and time slipped away. Every pass of the orbiter felt like pushing a boulder uphill. I lost myself in it, the world shrinking down to sparks, steel, dust, and the smell of fresh paint. By 11 a.m., the P4 wore a fresh coat. The yellow was buried by the wash, wax, and polish. It rolled onto the lot looking less like a beast and more of a beauty. Something that even little Sam would be proud of. As I moved it onto the lot, I dreamt of what could be with this car. Its market value put it at $33,291. But I wasn't here to scrape by. I punched $44,277 into the listing and locked it in. Now it was just a waiting game. It didn't take long before someone came sniffing around the Harmonia, a woman in a striped shirt and a ponytail, waving her arms, begging for my attention. I run over and see what kind of deal we can make. "Looks good," she said, "but not 51 good." I forced a smile. Here we go. Her first offer dropped like a hammer. $5 grand under market. Like she thought I'd just roll over? I didn't bite. That's nowhere close. You're looking at a clean rebuild here. Engine's tight, body's fresh, worth every penny. She snorted, crossed her arms. Worth maybe 38. I slid a piece of candy out of my pocket and offered it up. Sometimes the smallest gesture loosens people up. She smirked, and for a second, I thought I had her. But she only budged a little, creeping a few thousand higher. Still, nowhere near what I needed. We went back and forth, words clashing like gears grinding with no oil. She pushed, I pulled, until finally we crossed market value by a hair. It wasn't enough. Not for the time I bled into this thing. But a sale was a sale, and every flip kept the lights on. I let her take it, watching the Harmonia roll off my lot, with more relief than satisfaction. By 1:30 in the afternoon, a man in a white tank top strolled up the lot. He had his eyes locked in on the CargoWise P4, and I could tell he meant business. "Let's go sell this car," I muttered to myself. I decided to check. A little refresher to make sure I knew exactly what I was dealing with. Market value read $33,291, but the listed price is $44,277, and his offer, $30,960. Calculated quickly, then typed in $42,500. Sure enough, he pushed a bit. I wasn't worried. This was the dance I'd been doing all day. He came up a little, and I gave a small gift. A cigarette, the kind of token that loosens even the most stubborn of sellers. He blinked, considered it, and finally came up to $38,024. Perfect. Worth the cigarette. Another sale complete. Another small victory in a day already packed with deals, repairs, and negotiation chests. This would bring our account balance up to $87,000. Later that afternoon, I spotted a tired-looking van just across the dealership, its owner putting his hand under his chin, face like stone. The thing had rust on top of rust, covered under a thick layer of dirt. This is the kind of ride most folks would scrap without a second thought. But I saw it. It has potential. With a market value of $31,465 and an asking price of $30,950, we might be able to turn this one around and make a profit. We started taking numbers. I offered a reasonable $25,500. He aggressively waves his arms side to side, screaming, almost muttering, I'm wasting his time. I held my ground, offering a cigarette as a negotiation tactic to get one last push. He came down on his price, and I settled at $27,250, below market value. By the time we shook hands, I knew I'd scored a win. The car rolled onto my lot like found money, and I got to work on this quickly. The day is flying by, as we replaced 3 fuses and a battery. With no exhaust holes to fill, we pull this over to the body shop and get to work grinding, puttying, sanding, and finally painting the spots we had to clean up. We pull it into the wash bay by 5 p.m. with the hopes that maybe we can get one more car sold today. By 6:30 p.m., we're pulling the car onto the lot to take pictures in the sunset and list it online. With a market value of $46,910, we might have our first $60,000 car, listing it at $62,390. As it approaches 8 p.m., we have a buyer for this latest P4. His initial offer leaves much to be desired. At $43,157, our hopes are fading quickly of getting $60,000 for this van. Making one last offer because of a cigarette, we sell it for $53,319. Quicker than I expected. My account jumped up like I'd just robbed a bank. $98,000. Close enough to taste 100. The sun was already bleeding into the horizon when I realized my parts stash was running dry. Batteries, plates, fuses, I was short on everything. I grabbed the truck keys and tore across the town, weaving through traffic. Every red light and stop sign are just a suggestion, flying right through them in a hurry. When I skidded into the lot, I gave a sigh of relief when I saw the clerk standing behind the counter. I dug through my inventory looking for the dead batteries. As it was getting later, the clerk was groaning, almost begging to lock up for the night. I swapped dead batteries for fresh ones and grabbed a stack of license plates, cramming whatever would not fit into my inventory into the bed of my truck with extras. Storage was maxed out, the kind of overkill that made my back ache just thinking about unloading it. But I knew if I missed this window, tomorrow would be wasted. When I pulled away, the clerk finally killed the lights, shaking his head like I was some kind of lunatic. Maybe I was. Earlier today, we scheduled appointments for some cars that interest me and had potential. It was just our luck that we would have 3 cars so close to each other. 2 of which are in the same lot. The 2 sellers had practically parked their cars side by side, and the last thing I wanted was them comparing notes. It was exhilarating. I scanned the lot, calculating what I could afford. Yeah, I had the cash to buy all these, easily. My eyes landed on the Off-Rider Canyon, sitting crooked near the corner of the street. Market value says $6,812, but I knew better. I started low, trying to feel out the seller. $4,800? He hesitated. I raised it a touch. $4,850? Unsure, I pressed just a little more. $4,950? Finally, she caved. I nodded. Perfect. That one was mine. Next up was an Apex Motor Striker, looking like it had been dragged behind a truck for half a mile. The seller wanted $1,900. I didn't flinch. $1,150?
Oh no.
He wavered.
No.
I adjusted slightly, careful not to overplay my hand.
I don't know.
$1,375? We accepted at $1,481
Okay.
before he could second guess himself. 2 down, each building my empire, car by car. Traffic hummed between me and the next seller, and I was thinking, watch out for traffic. As I cautiously walked across the road, there it sat, a battered NGD Pulse. Market value read $7,000, but the owner was only looking for $5,600. I knew this one was a gimme. $4,750? Keeping my voice even? He blinked, then offered a small concession. I leaned in, finishing the negotiation. $4,800? That's it. And just like that, it was done. I stood back and counted my winnings silently. Each car carried built-in profit, and together, they left room to make upgrades for tomorrow. My lot was swelling with opportunity, and the grind I'd been slogging through all day finally started to feel like progress. By the time I got back to Honest Motors, the lot was quiet. Too quiet. The alarm wailed as soon as I stepped out of the shop. My stomach dropped. The rival was back. I sprint across the asphalt and creep in, and at the last second, I stop him from sabotaging our car. Not tonight, I barked. He bolted, disappearing in the dark before I could get another hand on him. I stood there, chest heaving, fists clenched, until the alarm went off. I checked the cars, one by one. 4 rides sat on my lot now. None of them were perfect, but each one carried promise. My dealership never looked so alive. That's when it hit me. It was time to stop being a one-man army. The alarm still echoed in my ears as I stood there. $97,000 in the bank. For the first time, the place felt less like a graveyard of broken dreams and more like a dealership. But I wasn't blind. I couldn't keep this up alone. The grinding, the selling, the running around town like a madman, it was wearing me down. My knuckles were raw, my clothes smelled like paint and burnt metal. So I did the thing I'd been putting off for weeks. I upgraded the office. More space, more responsibility.
Well, we're back at square one, kid, but in a good way. I got you a job here, and now you can hire somebody yourself. Candidates are already applying in droves. Check the PC.
But also, more room to grow. My finger hovered over the confirmation button for a long moment. Then I clicked. The deed was done. Honest Motors wasn't just a shack with a few cars anymore. It was something bigger. By the time the clock crept past midnight, the lot was still, the town quiet. The air was thick with the scent of paint and rubber, and my body screamed for rest. But my mind buzzed with possibility. 4 cars ready to move. A new man, Bartek, on the crew. Tomorrow would be another war. More haggling, more grinding, and more rivals lurking in the shadows. But tonight I let myself breathe. I sank into the couch, honest motors, my empire of scraps and steel was finally offering hope and the promise of a better future. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. As always, have a great day wherever you are in the world.